Alright, welcome to Nicola's replay analysis on Offlane Wraith King. Let's get into it. So, as you guys might know, big part of replay's information is found right here in the scoreboard and in the player item graph. So we're going to take a look at that first. Now, drafts. The Radiant, Gary Spectre, mid Queen of Pain, Offlane Wraith King, Shaker Willow supports. Pretty standard, pretty stable draft. You know, Spectre not the most meta carry, fell off a little bit, but still pretty good. Wraith King offlane might still be a little controversial for some people, but usually it's quite strong. It can do really well, especially if we're not talking about the pro level, of course. Shaker Willow, two supports with a lot of control, very long range as well. The only thing, actually no, I was gonna say mobility. You know, there's no mobility on the supports, of course, but Spectre is very mobile, has the global jump, and Queen of Pain is also mobile mid. So I would say pretty well-rounded lineup. Good mix of magical, pure damage, maybe lacking on the hard physical a little bit, although Wraith King does provide that. And on the Dire, we have a not so standard lineup. Is this an offlane Marcy? No. Okay, it's a mid lane Rubik. So it's a mid Rubik. Marcy Crystal Maiden supports, Carry Void, and offlane Necro. Very interesting combination. Like the offlane Necro and the Carry Void, super greedy. And then you have the Rubik mid, who is the opposite, right? Like he usually does very well early game and then kind of falls off rather quickly. So definitely not as well-rounded of a lineup as the Radiants. If I had to pick who I would favor in the late game, even though Void is great, I would still favor the Radiant in the late game. I would say all 5 heroes kill quite decently, whereas here we have Crystal Maiden. Basically everybody except Faceless Void does kind of fall off. And they don't have as many stuns, right? They're counting on a chrono a lot more. So late game favors the Radiant, which means you're not really pressured to finish fast. Also, even though the Dire do not have better late game, they don't really have good push either. So if anything, the Radiant draft is favored pretty heavily here. All right, like if you imagine you're on the Dire team, it sucks. You want to finish early, but you also cannot. So like you don't want the game to go late, but you can't finish anyway. There's like zero push on the Dire team. So with all that being said, this is the kind of perfect, how should I call it? These are the perfect set of conditions to go for a Radiance, even though you're offlane Wraith King and it might seem a little greedy. The way the meta has been shifting last couple years even, you know, there's a lot more farm on the map. There's definitely enough space for you to farm that Radiance and still contribute, still apply pressure, be useful to the team, especially with, of course, the Bone Guard, the Scaly Facet we talked about. You pretty much always go for that facet. It's way too good in terms of farming and pushing power. So that's the first somewhat strange thing, not going Radiance versus a team that basically cannot punish it. Like how do they punish you going Radiance? You know, they just don't really have the heroes. And it's pretty nice versus Void and Marcy anyway, because, you know, mischance, like slow and steady damage versus Void, slow and steady damage in general versus this team that could kite you a little bit. Only reason to not buy Radiance is if Spectre were to go for it, but it's definitely not so good on Spectre anymore. Very good on Wraith King. So that's the first strange thing. Now you went for Mage Slayer. Now, I like the You know, we talked about experimenting with items, not just following a cookie cutter build, trying things. However, I cannot really see a good justification for Mage Slayer here. So first we got Faceless Void and Marcy. Obviously, you didn't buy it for them. They don't really have spell damage. Doesn't do anything. Rubik and Crystal Maiden have a fair bit of spell damage. Could be useful versus them. However, how are you applying it? Right? Unlike, you take some of the best Mage Slayer users. Well, the number one Mage Slayer user, obviously, in the game is Ember Spirit, because with Sleight of Fist, he can apply it to unlimited number of enemies in a huge radius from a huge distance. Actually, the max Sleight of Fist range is 1250. It's more than Blink Dagger range, 1200. So if you're Ember, it's great. You just always Sleight of Fist the Rubik Crystal Maiden and you apply the debuff. But you're not Ember, you're Wraith King. You're melee. So your only option, like realistically, the only way you apply that Mage Slayer is to blink on top of them. Which, obviously that's fine. Like you should, and you did buy a Blink Dagger pretty quickly, actually, even after the Mage Slayer. But the thing is, if you've already blinked on top of them, why try to reduce their spell damage when you can just be trying to kill them instead? Right? Again, if we make the comparison with Ember or other potential Mage Slayer buyers, they can be ranged heroes that apply it easily. It can also be some of the other spirits, like Void Spirit can buy Mage Slayer, Pango can buy it. These are mobile heroes that get in the middle of the fight. They have some shields. They're not the tankiest, right? So they don't want to like face tank. So reducing enemy spell damage output is pretty useful. Keeps them alive. Make great use of the mana, etc. And like Wraith King isn't really any of those things. You don't have issues being tanky. You have 2 lives anyway. Ideally, you jump on the Crystal Maiden and you just cut her down, right? Like same with the Rubik. Even better that he's a mid. Like ideally, you just jump him and you cut him down. And once you do jump them, they're not gonna turn on you with their spells necessarily. They're just gonna try to get away, right? Like if you jump a Rubik, what does he do after the stun? He's gonna lift you away and he's gonna try to run away. He bought Yule's Blink to keep distance and stuff. So not very useful versus these 2 heroes basically. And then we get to the Necro. Now that's a continuous spell damage hero that on paper Mage Slayer should be good against. Right? He's the kind of spell damage carry in a way that Pudge is, the way that Leshrac is, Death Prophet. These are the best heroes to buy Mage Slayer against because they're up in your face anyway. So it's pretty easy to get the Mage Slayer application. The problem is that unlike all of those, Necro has a built-in free Gold Scepter, right? And that prevents you from hitting him. Again, not the biggest deal if you're ranged or if you have easier ways, but for you as a Wraith King, it's like you got the blink in, you got the one chance to land the hit, get your big crit with the stun, and apply that Mage Slayer. If Necro presses Ghost Shroud at that time, if he's quick enough, then again, it's like your item doesn't really do anything at that point. Right? So yeah, I don't think the Mage Slayer has a clear purpose here. I don't think it really solves anything. In general, I wouldn't really buy it on Wraith King. Even if you had enemies like Leshrac and Death Prophet, where it's like a more clear-cut advantage to buy it, you're honestly just better off getting Blade Mail, because the same heroes with that AoE spell damage, they really suffer versus Blade Mail. Because like they will be hitting you if you're next to them. They can't really not hit you with those spells. Same goes for the Necro, with his Radiance and his Death Pulses. So I'm not saying this is a great Blade Mail game, but I'm just saying, yeah, Mage Slayer isn't a way to go here. Like I mentioned, I think Radiance will be pretty easy. I think considering how fast you farm these, so let's think about it. You got the phase boots at 8 minutes. It took you 5 minutes to get the Mage Slayer, which is kind of average speed. I mean, it costs 2.8, so it's like about nearly 600 GPM, which is pretty good, pretty fast. And then it took you just 3 minutes to get Blink, which is crazy fast. That's like over 700 GPM. Right, and if we combine the cost of Mage Slayer and Blink, and you had both at 16 minutes, Mage Slayer is 2.8, and Blink Dagger is 2.2. So together, that's 5k gold. Now, Radiance is actually cheaper than that. So if you had both these items at 16 minutes, that means this could have been a 15-minute Radiance. And honestly, if you're offlane Wraith King and you have the opportunity to get a 15-minute Radiance, you pretty much should. Like almost all the time, regardless of lineups and, you know, whether they can punish it or not or whatever. Because it's just, when it's that fast, it's going to be hella strong. And then the SNY, I also don't really see a huge value in, because, you know, it gives status resistance. We want status resistance versus debuffs or stuns that we cannot avoid in other ways, right? So usually if BKB doesn't work because they go through BKB, things like Access Call, Parameter Lasso, Beastmaster ulti, Pudge ulti, Legion duel, all that kind of stuff. If you're concerned about, you know, getting stunned, BKB doesn't help. That's where Sanji Asha can help a little bit. Although, going back to the Radiance, if you have Radiance, you don't care if you get stunned because you're burning them anyway, and that's kind of what the strength of Wraith King is. So yeah, we don't really have any of that here. In fact, they're quite limited on stuns. There's Chrono, but of course, SOI doesn't do anything. Like, nothing helps versus Chrono. But you don't mind because you have 2 lives, which is kind of the ultimate counter to Chrono. Marcy has some stuns. Rubik has a stun. They're, you know, they're like medium length, but they're on big cooldowns, and you're probably not going to be the main target of them. Like, they probably rather stun the Queen of Pain to catch her. And then there's the Crystal Maiden, who has a heavy slow and a root, both of which are on very short cooldowns. And again, SOI doesn't really help with that either. Like, if you're really concerned about the CM, you could actually go Manta instead, because that dispels the slow and it dispels the Frostbite. She frostbites you, boom, Manta out of it, easy kill. She can't really do anything about it. Didn't go any defensive items either on Crystal Maiden. So that could have actually been the way to go, like Radiance Blink into Manta potentially, and CM would be a free kill for you every time. So then you went back for the Nullifier, which obviously very strong item versus Necro. Really good, kind of necessary. Spectre could also buy it. She's a pretty good Nullifier user, but he was going for other stuff, so it's not bad on you either, considering you have Blink. It counters his Ghost Shroud, counters his Yule Scepter, counters a lot of things, even with Wind Waker, so probably glad you had that Nullifier. If the game goes late, by the way, and you have Radiance, you can actually disassemble the Radiance and build Nullifier with it. Can be a nice little trick. The Talisman Evasion you can just sell. And if you still need Wave Clear, you can buy a late game Mjolnir instead, which gives more DPS. But we're talking like, yeah, 30-40 minutes plus. Of course, early game Radiance is king for farming and for DPS. All right, so we've covered the item build part. Now let's take a look at what actually happened in the game. So it's a Wraith King Earthshaker lane versus Faceless Void and Crystal Maiden. Your lane is not the strongest, but Faceless Void is a weak laner in general. I mean, Crystal Maiden can be a pretty strong support depending on how he plays it. Especially double melee, you always get hit by the Nova, both of you. But Void is kind of weak, so all in all, probably cannot kill them, but you should be able to farm quite freely. They should not really be able to stop you from farming. You can see so far you're doing very well with last hits. Same with the Void, but you also have 6 denies, so already a decent advantage. This is the first aggressive attempt. Now, this is something I think we've talked about before. First of all, Earthshaker misses his Fissure. That's a problem. Although, kind of would have stacked the stuns even if he didn't. You throw the stun way too early, basically. This is... I think we talked about this a little bit in terms of Wraith King, but you want to hold on to that stun. Like, right here, you spawn skeletons. You're close to the Crystal Maiden. If you think about it, like, Crystal Maiden is slow. It's one of the slow. Even with Windlace, he's still significantly slower than you. And he's not even really trying to run away right now. And Shaker is cutting him off. Like, there's no reason to throw the stun yet. You can quite literally just walk up to him right now. Smack him. Smack her. Maybe even twice. And then throw the stun. Because when you use the stun so early, of course, again, Shaker missing his Fissure doesn't help, but when you throw the stun from far away, you don't really get full value out of it because you cannot actually attack her during the stun duration. In this case, she even got the Frostbite off, so... plus, you also kind of... You show your hand, right? Like, the moment you throw the stun, it's obvious that you're trying to get aggressive, like, and trying to commit for a kill, potentially. Whereas, if you just walk up and hit once, they don't know, like, okay, is he gonna hit and then stun me and then keep chasing and try to kill me? Or is he just gonna hit me once and back off and keep farming, right? They cannot know that. But if you start by throwing the stun, it's obvious, right? Oh, okay, he's trying to go on me. So you get the chainmail. I like that because they have a lot of physical. This is the same thing, right? Exact same thing. Faceless Void, not only is he not running away, he's actually running towards you guys. He's running towards the Shaker. He's on the aggressive. And here you just throw the stun on him. Okay, maybe it was a defensive stun. You're like, okay, I want to save my Shaker. In which case, okay, fair enough. But then you shouldn't be going in after that. Because you're also low HP. Alright? And this is a general thing versus Void. You kind of want to stagger your damage. You don't want to stack all your damage at once, because then he's just gonna heal all of it back at once with Time Walk. Right? So if you throw the stun, he probably wants to Time Walk it. Don't waste your crit on him as well. Right? Or if you use the crit, he probably wants to Time Walk the crit, so wait with the stun. Right? But if you do both at the same time, like you stun here and you crit him, and he's like, oh, easy Time Walk, heal all that damage back. And even though you have 2 scaly charges, and even though Crystal Maiden is out of mana, they're just stronger than you. And this, by the way, is a Void with a very, very greedy item build. Like, he's rushing straight Mask of Madness. Maybe, I normally advise that, by the way, because if the lane goes bad, you know, you can jungle sooner if you just rush Mask of Madness. Yeah, here you guys just stack the stuns. So again, he just time walks off all the damage. So yeah, maybe he's planning to like dip out into the jungle, but okay, kind of deja vu here. Once again, Shaker misses his Fissure. But once again, look, with Tranquil Boots, I mean, they're broken, granted, but with Tranquil Boots, 320 MS, you have 310 without boots. So if she's actually facing you, she's not running away if she's looking towards you, right? Like she is right now. So there's no need to stun. Just keep running at her. And only once she's really running away, then you can stun. But in this case, the Fissure probably come out first, so you can even wait for the Fissure. Yeah, also unfortunate that he's... Yeah, Shaker keeps missing his Fisher and he's not skilling Aftershock, so he's playing badly, but yeah, that doesn't mean that, you know, you couldn't play it better as well if you held the stun for better timings. Let's see, this is the other stuff. Here he jumps, you punish with the Skellies. Finally, Earthshaker's killed Aftershock. And by the way, he skills Aftershock and you guys get a kill like a second after that. So no surprise there. And finally you punish them, and it's basically because, you know, Skelly damage and Shaker's bringing the stuns. Because he actually has the... He just had to be 1-1-1 instead of 1-2-0, but anyway. All good. So... The lane wasn't going as well as it should have, and Void is actually ahead in last hits. The double kill kind of redeems the situation a little bit. They commit the Chronosphere, but you have the Skellies out, and again Shaker with the stuns. Ooh, very clutch Lotus. Did he give you that? Alright, Shaker redeeming himself here. Lands the stuns, big damage. The Mass Commanders was a mistake, and super clutch Lotus heals you and gives you mana for the stun, so you guys kill the maiden too. First you got the double kill, now Shaker gets the double kill, and the lane is salvaged. I wouldn't always immediately take the ulti here. The only real benefit you get if you don't actually die is you get the lifesteal buff from 10 to 20, which is, you know, it's okay, but at this point, depending on how things are going, like if there was still fighting and aggression going on, you might want that second level to stun. If there's no risk of you dying, if you're just gonna start farming now, like seems to be the case, right? Because you took the tower, they probably ditched the lane, enemies, chrono cooldown. In this case, you could put another point in the crit. Helps you farm a little bit better. Also, if you get ganked and you would die for sure, you would die twice for sure. It's nice to not have skilled the ulti so that you can save its cooldown. So yeah, you get a lot of space here, you get to start farming camps. Skellies are pushing the wave. Ooh, big mistake here to teleport. So now that this is honestly like everything, all mistakes so far kind of redeemed, salvaged. You're doing great here. This is what you want. 10 minutes in, you got your phase boots, a couple basic items, 2k gold, tower is down, you can farm quite freely, you got your max Skellies. And you can definitely, like from here 2k gold, radiance is 4.7, so you need 2.7 more. You can definitely get that 2.7k gold in 5 minutes. And once you do the game changes, you can kind of take over the game. So yeah, regardless of how the laning stage went, right now you're in an amazing spot to carry the game. And this TP is for sure a throw. Like, how are you gonna contribute here? Your level 1 stun, 1 second stun that deals like 100 damage. Come on, like, why? There's no reason. There's no need to. If Queen of Pain with full HP and mana and ulti is not TPing to this fight, why would you TP to this fight? Again, if nothing happens for 5 minutes and you just get the farm, you're probably winning the game. These two guys come here, okay, leave the lane, and you can just go and farm these camps. You can even farm Ancients if you have enough Skellies, if they're not stacked. But I imagine nobody stacked them. Farm these camps, you can farm everything. Just get that Radiance, and once you have the Radiance, your farming speed skyrockets, your presence in fights skyrockets, and you know, you soon after get the Blink. And if you have Blink and Radiance around 20 minutes, which you're right on track to have, actually even sooner, things go well, it's like you automatically win fights. Like Crystal Maiden, I mean, imagine you're at that level, at that point in the game. This Crystal Maiden has like, let's say we're talking like 18 minutes or so. Oh, he actually rushed Blink as well. Pretty crazy. But whatever, like this guy's a Blink, this guy's a Blink and a Phylactery, that's their mid. This guy is like, they have almost no items. Radiance Wraith King blinks onto them. Like the fight is just over. There is nothing they can do. Like as 5 heroes, they would all lose half their HP just dealing with you and your first life. Like one teammate, you and Queen of Pain could literally 2v5 them at that point if you have that Blink Radiance. So doing anything that delays that timing is not worth it in a game like this. So you can see what happens here. You come over, you whack the Rubik a couple times, and basically, as expected, the one that actually gets the kills is Queen of Pain. You. And now you're in the same place as Spectre, which is awkward, so you have to get the gate back. And all in all, the whole maneuver cost you gold. You have more gold than when you TP'd at 2k, now you have, 2.2 and a half, but first you spend 100 gold on the TP. Second, if you kept farming, you would have significantly more. You'd be at least 2.5 right now with your TP saved. So, yeah, I guess for some reason you just felt like it would be too greedy to go for Radiance. Maybe you were afraid of the enemy's late game. But you guys have a great late game too, so I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. And if you really wanted to be aggressive, I still wouldn't go for the Mage Slayer. Like, I would at least get an Orchid, because that's something that allows you to kill these heroes if you're trying to be aggressive. It's, allows you to kill Necro, allows you to kill Void potentially, and the support, and the Maiden and the Rubik. Here you're busy shopping, so you kind of don't see that this was going on right next to you. But you do come in, kill that guy. Free double kill. Which, by the way, this double kill was purely like you being at the right place at the right time. Even if you didn't have the wish there, you would get this double kill. And, like, that's so much bonus gold on top of everything. Like, you would be pretty much finishing up your Radiance. And I'm surprised also that, like, there's a little bit of a mismatch between the item build and the skill build, right? So this Mage Slayer says, I don't want to farm a little bit more. I want to be fighting right now. But then if that's the case, why not max the stun? Because that's your fighting spell. The crit is better for farming. And if you are going for the Radiance and you want to farm a little bit more, then okay, kind of makes sense. Max the crit so you farm faster. Personally, and I think we did discuss this with the build, I generally favor kind of leveling them together a little bit because, you get a little bit of both, and whether you have 2 or 4 points in the crit, your farm speed doesn't change that much, and every other point in the stun helps a little bit, not just for the duration and the damage, but also the cooldown dropping, of course. So yeah, your skill build says I want to farm, but your item build says I want to fight, and that doesn't really make sense. You obviously want them to match. Here, this is like the dream scenario. Void runs into you, high ground, with literally 8 skeletons, all hitting him before you even get the stun off. And just to give you an idea, like, you get him to half HP in the 1 second stun duration, right? Imagine this was a max stun. He would be very close to dying. He wouldn't die, but he would be pretty close to dying. Of course, it doesn't make a difference. He can pop wand, he can time walk. But again, if you wanted to be aggressive, then why not Orchid? Because that Orchid is just a little bit more expensive than Mage Slayer, 2.8. 4.3. Look how much gold you have. So you'd easily have had the Orchid like a while ago already. And if you have Orchid here, that's a dead void, obviously. No way around it. Unsavable. So again, I'm saying I would have gone Radiance here if I were you. But if you wanted to be aggressive, then at least go Orchid and max the stun. Because you could get some kills. Like right there, for example. Here, good patience. You're holding on to your spells. If he jumps, you can pop Skellies and stun. You see Marcy. I like the fast reaction. The moment you see this Marcy coming in, you immediately pop the skeletons. That's a good call. So that they're already dealing damage while you're being focused. And you have ulti, so you're feeling obviously safe to kind of run forward. Echo kind of whiffs. Void is able to take you down. He's silenced by the Mask of Madness, but unfortunately you don't get that hit in. Oh, this is actually a major cringe right here. I just want to point this out. Obviously don't care, but this is like one of the worst things you can do as Void. Leaving the Time Walk at level 3, so bad, so bad. Like you either, I don't know, like the moment you start leveling it, you need to max it because look at that. From level 3 to 4, from 11 to 6 seconds. Basically, it doesn't matter what level it is. It's either not maxed or it's maxed. That's what, once it's maxed, you can spam it. If it's not maxed, you cannot spam it. And he even took the talent, which is so useless, instead of actually maxing the time walk. So, thanks to these mistakes, he gave you the opportunity to potentially kill him, but unfortunately didn't manage to get the stun and the hit off. But you do find the Crystal Maiden, so she's dead. Spectre KS's. Oh well, shit happens. Yeah, and here you decide to get the blink, which also, of course, you won't blink sooner or later on Wraith King, but seeing what happens so far, I'm not really getting, because like we only had a couple of fights. The only fight where you went in aggressively was here, but you just walked up to them because they're all slow heroes. And all other fights, they're running into you. Like here, Void walks up into you. Here, their Void is chasing you. All the other like fights or before that, like you were being chased. So why the blink? Who are you jumping? Like they're all coming to you, and you're actually top net worth, which further kind of brings me back to that other point, like where you see here you get the blink, but so what? No, you're top net worth, man, but you cannot kill anybody. That's kind of the issue. If you're top net worth, you should be either scaling and farming harder than the enemy, or you should be able to kill them. Right, and I would go for the scaling approach with the Radiance. So you outscale them, you farm harder, and at some point you have like a 2-item advantage. Game is easy, you kind of just roll over them. Or if you decide to be aggressive, like we said, you go Orchid and then you just kill them. But with this approach, you're basically not really doing either one. And here they threaten you a lot. I mean, again, by the way, it's every single time, like enemies really have it in for you. Like you keep getting jumped. Now you're getting jumped by Rubik Marcy, which is pretty crazy. I don't know why they would do it, but so let's keep watching a bit. Fast forward, some more farming. And yeah, the other crazy thing is that despite going Mage Slayer Blink, you are actually playing very passively. I mean, you're farming a lot, which we can see. So again, not bad in theory, but then why go for this build if you're gonna farm? And you've been part of a lot of kills, which is nice, but let's be real, almost all of those were enemies jumping you, and not you actually forcing a fight. Let's keep watching. So, yet again, you are getting jumped. Here even like aggressively blink on the creep wave. Not quite sure why. And they just happen to all be there. So yeah, now you're just dead. No chance of blinking out. Oh, Rubik stole the Fisher. Here we have a fight, and here the game starts kind of spiraling out of control. And yeah, honestly, like the items you have, like they just aren't really helping you to prevent this in any way. I think even at this point, going back for the Manta would still be better than SOI, by the way, because at least you can, again, get rid of Maiden spells, and you also dispelling the time dilation. Like, this spell is very annoying. Another way to put all this with the build and the approach and stuff, like, your build needs to either be helping you be strong right now, accomplish something right now, or working towards being strong at some point later in the game. Right? And I feel like it's not really doing either one of those things. Right? The choices are pretty clear. If you want to be strong right away, you go items like Orchid or potentially Blade Mill if they have the right heroes for it. Some games it can even be Desolator, but I won't say that's one of those games. And if you want to be strong later, you know, obviously farming. And even if you went for, like, Radiance is the best, we talked about that, but even if you went for like a Maelstrom or a Mjolnir Rush, it's weird, I wouldn't recommend it. But at least it would help you farm, and at least at some point, you would have a lot of damage and attack speed, so you can actually kill people within the stun. Here Necro kinda just feeds 1v3. Like, enemies are giving you hella opportunities. Now the Angry Void comes in. Unfortunately, you're the last survivor. You had the chance to blink out here, by the way. That's one of the cool things. You can always blink out after reincarnation right away to escape. But just a little bit slow on it. And he gets the first hit bash, but I mean, trying to TP out in front of Void it's like he has a lot of attack speed. He will bash you sooner or later within the TP duration. And yeah, I don't think the SOI really accomplished anything here either. Yeah, I don't wanna discourage you from getting creative with item builds and trying out different things. But I think the modern term is you cooked too much with this one, basically. It's a little too creative for no tangible benefit. I don't really see the good reasoning behind it. And I think a good way to avoid doing this is to really have a, like, try to have a clear goal. A clear goal with your build. Like, I want to be able to do this or that, you know. I want to be able to frontline or take towers or catch people, disable people, kill enemies. That's the most simple one. If you're not sure, go for a build that helps you kill enemies. Yeah, you got ends up being like a casual plate mill. By the way, if this is for the Void, actually very little of their damage is physical. You know, it's all magic from these three, and Void is a big part of his damage is actually magical too. The time lock bonus damage is magical, and the Mjolnir is magical. So if you look at the end of the game, Void's damage breakdowns, you'll see that pretty decent chunk of it is not actually physical. Out of 50,000 damage dealt, 27 is physical right clicks. And so that means obviously about half of it almost is magical. Mostly Mjolnir, but also time lock, a bit of time dilation, a bit of Maelstrom. So that's something to keep in mind here. Like, I don't think there was much value in going for casual plate mill. He did turn into Shivas eventually, which Shivas is pretty good here. Regen reduction for the Necro, and it also works on the Void's time walk heal. Here you guys managed to chain stun and kill the Void. But yeah, even the Crystal Maiden has a BKB at this stage. So you guys are kind of winning some fights just because, again, your lineup is a lot better. Like, the control between Earthshaker Willow is crazy. And lots of AoE spells, lots of team fights. But they're also just... The enemies are just quite... this Void... How did Void die in such a stupid way? Enemies are pretty fat. Yeah, then Void kind of chokes here. Stepped into the bramble, didn't manage to time walk. So enemies are throwing hard, they're giving you opportunities. And we can see you actually keeping up a net worth, but yeah, just reading the SMY Mage Slayer. It's this combination of like... That's just kind of really meh, you know? It's like some attack speed, some damage, some tankiness. I'm trying to think, like there could be some hero that it's good on, but it's definitely not Wraith King. Here you got the Nullifier. That helps you kill the Necrophos, which is cool. But see, there's too many issues to solve now, and if these items were different, you could solve them all, but... Like, you kind of want a Basher for that Crystal Maiden ulti. So yeah, I think the Nullifier and the Shivas at this point, they make more sense. They have like a more clear purpose. See, here you also get rid of that guy's Yules. But it's still just a little bit too little, too late in a way. I mean, Shaker, not gonna comment on the Heart Daedalus Shaker. That's definitely not helping either. But yeah, of course we're focused on your hero here. And I think we talked about it also, like I showed you how obviously this Void at this point is extremely hard to kill. I'd say borderline unkillable. If Void gets to this point, the hero is crazy strong. What makes him not very strong is that it's usually very difficult for him to get to this point, but yeah, with the backtrack talent and 3.5 KHP and Satanic and everything, he has like so many ways to stay alive. But yeah, at least with a more like DPS, with a different build, you would have more burst potential. Basically. Spectre comes in. So it's kind of more of them dying at the tier 4s instead of closing out the game. They give you a way back in. I'm not sure if you changed your mind here or you already got the Shivas. Was it maybe on the courier? No, it's not. But yeah, BKB wouldn't do that much, obviously, considering the chrono. You're getting the reincarnation talent soon, which is good. Nullifier, by the way, does not work versus BKB. I don't know if you used it before or after, but don't want to target BKB enemies, because it's kind of a waste. Well, it was about the same time, but yeah. Yeah, the Crystal Maiden even is owning right now. If you don't have a bash, it's hard. And Shaker kind of just feeding. Jumped in with his Echo on cooldown. He doesn't have a shard. Yeah, it's rough. I should have sold the wand, by the way, but you wouldn't have enough for buyback anyway. And you guys are really counting on Spectre. Spectre has like the big control items. He's got Abyssal Bloodthorn, but he got solo killed, so... well, not solo killed, rather he went for a solo kill and died. So this fight was without Spectre. This was the first Rax though. I mean, you guys should have definitely just let them take the Rax and wait for Spectre. Even if they take 2 Rax, you have no chance fighting without Spectre. But kind of just went in without her and everybody died without buyback. So now the game is just over even if Spectre respawns. So, alright, that was about it. I hope you found this useful and it kind of cleared up what went wrong in this game. To summarize, you played well, the laning stage went well, you were definitely in a position to win and carry the game, but item build was incorrect. Mage Slayer, Sanji, Asha, not great items for Wraith King. Since the enemy didn't have great push, and they cannot finish the game early, Radiance would have been awesome. Definitely the right call was to go Radiance, especially because you had every opportunity to farm it very quickly. You know, Wraith King is not the kind of offlaner that wants to run around minute 10. So don't TP to try and help other lanes when you have level 1 stun. It's kind of pointless. Unless they're like literally under your tier 1 or something, but even then it's usually not going to be very useful. And yeah, just go for the... You could have gone just Radiance into Blink, pretty standard, and then from there, lots of things can work. You could still go for the Shivas, if you want more like Aura team fight. Could go back for Orchid or Bloodthorn, could go for the Aghanims, could go for lots of things, but from there, you would get all of them much quicker anyway, because you have Radiance to farm with. Of course, Nullifier at some point, good for the Necro. Could get it on top of the Radiance, or you could even disassemble the Radiance to get it. And then if you still need wave clear, have issues with wave clear, you could go back for a Mjolnir for maximum DPS. But yeah, another Bash or Abyssal also could have been good at some point to deal with the Crystal Maiden Ag's ulti. She got very fat. It's the only way to stop her through BKB. Or if you wanted to be more aggressive, you could like double down on early aggression and just get a fast Orchid and run after Void. Try to keep killing the Void and the Necro. Don't let them get big. Could work, although it's definitely a riskier approach. So it wouldn't be my first recommendation. Do kind of rely a little bit more on the team there. And yeah, that's more or less it. Of course, if you have any questions or anybody else watching this replay has any questions, make sure to join my Discord server. Go to slashtrack.com, click on a photo, and you're in the Discord server. find it easily there. I'm also just going to link it here in the description of the video. And if you're interested in getting an analysis like this of your own replay, same thing, hop on over to Discord and you can DM me and I can explain how the process works, what it takes, etc. I can coach you on any position, any hero, anything you like. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys thought, and could be more of these coming up soon. Bye bye.